Very good evening to all of you, wherever you are in any part of the world. I, a citizen of the world, as I think I am, because I believe in world citizenship. I mean, people should consider wherever they are that they are world citizens and they have their responsibilities and duties to defend order, peace, and prosperity at any cost so that we live on until we are snapped off by nature through death, and our progenies for generations to come, for centuries to come, they live on, they survive, and they get survived by their progenies in turn. As I said, I believe in world peace. I believe in brotherhood, sisterhood. I believe in fraternity everywhere. I have been a teacher, and by habit, by teaching, by reading, by working in the direction of creativity, writing literature, reading literature, taking part in seminars and symposia, and having a very positive view of life uh, in the light of this necessity that however powerful we become in terms of our knowledge and wisdom, though our wisdom is getting reduced by every passing year. Our technical knowledge, our machine knowledge, our knowledge of scientific theories, our knowledge of social sciences, okay, seems to be increasing. They say, I don't believe in that too. Knowledge that is destructive is no knowledge. Knowledge that wants to have a quantum jump, a leap forward for the time being, only for the sake of so that we are developing. Development doesn't mean that you have fast running trains and supersonic planes, and you have your breakfast in one part of the world and your lunch in another part of the world. You live in skyscrapers and all that. That is, of course, a kind of development, but that is not the real development. The real development takes place when people everywhere in the world, they live in dignity, individual dignity. They live in freedom. They live according to their drives, inner drives, their soul drives. They do whatever they want to do, and they think that they are good at those functions that they want to do. And we don't have dictatorship, we don't have misrule, we don't have exploitation, but we definitely have a system that those who defy gentlemanship, those who defy discipline in life, those who defy self restraint, and those who become threats to society because they become criminals. They live unnaturally. They, for the sake of their own life, life's luxury, particularly physical luxury, they disturb others. They cut short the lives of others. Such people must be brought to book. And that is what is the good thing to happen in any civilized society, any society that is governed by civilized government. Civilized society, civilized government. If people are uneducated, backward, and they believe in all kinds of racism, casteism, that they vote for the thieves if they belong to the caste of the thieves. They belong to the candidate, they belong to a community, and a candidate from that community, even if he is the worst, you vote for him. As happens in many parts of the world. You vote for a black, even if that black person is not good. You vote for a white simply because he's white. As long as we continue doing all this, that we go race-wise, caste-wise, language-wise, religion-wise, and not merit-wise. Merit is the right thing to go by. Whoever, even if a black person happens to be in politics, and he thinks in terms of welfare of everybody, irrespective of skin color, blacks or whites or browns. That person should be considered, and there should be competition among good people who happen to be in politics, or competition among brilliant engineers, competition among brilliant doctors, and those who are the most brilliant in any field of life, they should be given places of priority. That is how our world can live peacefully, our world can prosper, and our world will have a great future. I have decided to express my views on how difficult it is in the present conditions to think of avoiding World War III at least for 50 years from now. We all know, even if we are generally educated or slightly educated, we know that two world wars have already been fought. The 20th century is supposed to have seen tremendous progresses in different domains of life, different walks of life, particularly in agriculture, engineering, medicine, science and technology, and so many other domains. Particularly in the medical sciences, 20th century saw unprecedented success. Many new diseases happen to be on the scene, and millions of people have had to lose their lives because of those diseases, but TB was controlled. AIDS happened to be widespread during the 20th century. Other diseases, hepatitis and all that, these diseases have come up, but we have been able to achieve a lot in sciences and transport, communication, all these sectors of our life have improved a lot. But we are also aware of the fact that the two wars, great wars, world wars, have been fought in the 20th century. The first, we know that 1914, 1918, and 1919 is the year when the First World War came to an end. And just after about 28 years, 28 years, no, 20, yes, 28, 28, yes, about 28, 27 years after, we fought the Second World War. 1939, it began in 1945. Now, between 1945 and now, we have had some, you can say 55 plus 22, 76, 77 years that we have had no war of that dimension, of the Second World War dimension. But conflicts have been. Perhaps millions of people have been killed in conflicts throughout the world. The raids, the conflicts, the genocides, the bombings, the suicide bombings, terrorism everywhere, and millions of people have lost their lives. But that is not the only bad thing that has shattered us. That is not only the ongoing things that have been so ugly and we have been anxious. When I say we have been anxious, I mean some 10-15% people who are futuristic, those who have a sense of future, those who want to live and let live, those who want this world to prosper, to develop in the right sense of the term, those who want the whole world's people to live according to nature. All human beings are human beings, but then all of them have not been given capabilities of the same level. That is why we have Olympics, competitions at sports and games. And those who are better at sports and games, they win the medals. And then they get what you call the applause. They get praise. They get lots of respect in their own countries as well as internationally, because they become inspiration for others to achieve something that is called excellent or extraordinary. So, uh, in these 77 years, we have seen so many bad things happening. The Cold War between the USA and the former USSR, resulting in so many kinds of tension around the world. The world getting into poles, you have had different countries having associations like NATO, like you can say African Union, like South Asian and North Asian Muslim countries having a kind of union, and they talk about safety to Muslims, or you can say their progress in terms of their religion and culture, and their mission to convert other people, non-Muslims, into Muslims, so that they can have wider population, they can have wider space on the world map. So all these tendencies are not all right. Whatever you have been, if you have been Muslims, continue to be Muslims. Means, well, you have a right, and if that right is internationally sanctioned, approved, then you have a right. You are a Muslim, you can become a Christian, you can become whatever you want to. But then you should not be forced, you should not be tempted. If you are Hindus, you continue to live as Hindus, because all religions ostensibly, or all religions on the face, they teach to be good human beings, that you help others, you help the poor, you don't exploit, you don't torture, you have fear in the administration of God. Fear is a kind of love. When you are afraid of your parents, you are afraid of what? Not the parents. You are afraid of your own, you can say, own weaknesses. That you should not be lazying away. You should not be lazying away your time. You should be studying and all that. So you are afraid of your parents because you are afraid of your weaknesses. So we all have to be afraid of this, that we should not go the bad ways. We should not become violent. We should not kill others. If others have worked hard and they have saved something for the future, we should not steal that saved thing from them. And because that way, their you can say confidence in the thinking that if you work hard and you save for the future, it's a good habit. But you work very hard, and your saving is stolen by those who don't work, those who don't have belief in hard work, and they only want to live like parasites. That you just wait for the people to come out with money, resources to use for themselves, and you forcibly hold them. You hold them to ransom, and you take payments from their relatives and all that. You never work. This is what is happening. This is what is happening in the form of an industry in many parts of the world. That kidnappers, smugglers, and robbers, they hold common people to ransom. They force them to make payments to them, and then they go off, letting the people go back home with nothing in their hands, nothing in their supposed bank balance, because everything is gone. Now I come back to what I propose to talk on. That is it possible for us, for the world, to avoid World War III for at least 50 years from now? So 77 years gone, but we have seen. Now you see what is happening. Uh, they say Indo-Pacific, China is emerging power. They say, I also, as I read newspapers, I happen to see the stories on the television. As I am talking to you, sometimes I make use of laptop, although I am not very good at using electronic, what you call, gadgets. But sometimes I use when it is very essential. Otherwise, I read books and I work in the garden. I work with my poetry, with my literature work. I work sometimes in the kitchen also. And this is how I spend my time. That working as much as I can, reflecting on the issues of the world, and then playing also. Sometimes I play. I want to exercise, I want to run, I want to play table tennis, badminton. Means most of the people, most of us want to live like that if we have positivity within us, that we should work as farmers, engineers, doctors, teachers, literators, or whatever, politicians, and we should let others work as they want to. And that is how we can move on. But see, that China is emerging, and then you have no Taiwan problem. So the US, you can say, cautioning China, that don't try to grab Taiwan because Taiwan is a sovereign country, self-ruled country, and China claims on that. You have, see, the Muslim countries, Afghanistan has become, they say that it's the center of terrorism. So we have problems between the US and Iran. Iran has been trying to get nuclear weapons. America, along with its allies, has been trying to restrain Iran from manufacturing nuclear weapons. And then you have Muslim countries, and they say that they have to be together. All the petroleum exporting countries, all the Muslim countries, that they should be united and they should fight against non-Muslims. They should attack them. You have seen what happened in America. The Twin Towers got raised because of the bombings by the terrorists. They had seen many films made by the Hollywood, you can say, film industry moguls, giants, and you make films like that, how things can be done unusually. You make ads like that, and people, they take negative lessons from these things. And Osama bin Laden, the leader of the then terrorist groups, and these people, they destroyed the Twin Towers of America. America, the most powerful country in the world, and there also terrorists could strike as they pleased, and thousands of people had been killed. And it was reported at that time that most of the countries lost their citizens in America in that tragic, you can say, raising of the Twin Towers. You have had bombings in India, in Bombay. You have had problems everywhere. So if America and China, they come into confrontation, no, you say that so down point, if they reach that either you kill or get killed. If you remain rigid on the Chinese side, Chinese people, Americans remain rigid on the American side, and then the other countries of the world, they take sides. Some of them, they take side with America and the other in China. So the possibility every day you have in the newspapers that Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi, they are going to meet, they are going to talk, but they are going to talk, and the talks are not expected to be smooth because they seem to be rigid on either side, on their side. They want, Americans want the Chinese to retrace, to get back. And in the same way, the Chinese want Americans to retreat and to give concessions, the sanctions against the Chinese in terms of trade and commerce and all kinds of plans and programs that Chinese have. So this tussle that continues, that has been continuing for a long time, these bode very badly about the future. They don't reflect something good happening in the near future. And then also, I'm speaking from Kolkata in India, that India also is one of the major powers of the world. In fact, the Indian population is almost the level of the Chinese population. India also is a big country, and it has its own concerns in its neighborhood. You see, Sri Lanka is small, not even 2 crore people, and Sri Lanka sometimes defies the security concerns of India, and India gets peeved, India gets irritated. You have Nepal. I have been in Nepal for over 2 decades, almost 3 decades, and I have seen that Nepal, culturally, religiously, spiritually, in all matters, Nepal is like India. Nepali people, 80-90% people Hindu, as in India, 80-90% people, 80% at least Hindus. And they have no differences between them in terms of their ways of living, in terms of their religious faith, cultural, you can say, festivals and all that. But this one-upmanship, that even if we are small in size, we are going to confront India. And India is concerned because China had already taken over Tibet. Tibet was an independent country or kingdom, whatever, and China usurped that territory, Tibet, and it did on the Mongolian side also. It has been aggressive presently between China and India. The relations are not good. Every now and then talks are held. Military officers, commanders, they meet on either side, and they decide to declare truce. They decide to patch up, but as the patch up is published or talked about, you have other mischiefs committed. Chinese accuse Indians to be committing mischiefs, and Indians accuse Chinese of committing mischiefs. And then you have people, what happened in Galwan, you had people killed on either side, and it was not it, it, it was not good to happen like that. Why should you, when you have decided not to fire bullets, not to make use of weapons, that you meet together whenever you have problems and you sort out the problems, and then suddenly the Indians accuse the Chinese of suddenly attacking the Indian soldiers, and Indian soldiers in retaliation did whatever they could, and casualties happened to be on either side. So all these things, if you view in perspective, as a law-abiding citizen, as an educated person, as a person having the attitude of world being one place, then you get concerned. You get very much sad, and then you want to react. And as an intellectual, how do you react? Perhaps the way that I am doing. I am reacting by expressing my views, expressing my perceptions. I am reacting by writing poems, calling upon people of the world. I know that my poems not going to make any impact or much impact, but I'm trying, because I think that my poems, some people may read, and in my poems I give the message that this earth is a beautiful place, and we don't know of any other place that can equal the beauty of the earth. It has everything: the seas, the mountains, the blue sky that we have, the moon that we have, the sun, billions of stars. So we have starry evenings, you have moonlit night, we have sunny morning, we have snow-clad Himalayas and other mountain ranges around the world, and we live in this kind of world. Why to go on to the moon and other planets when we have not been able to make our earth a very clean place? Uh, Billions and billions of tons of garbage we produce because you have become consumerists. We consume, and then we never care as to how to preserve our environment, how to preserve our ecology. So we have greenhouse effect, we have global warming, we have glacier melting, and countries, you have suppose carbon dioxide emission and all that. So countries accusing countries of the West, accusing the countries of the developing parts of the world. The developing parts of the world, they have their own grievances, that they are poor, their economic conditions are bad, their people have to be fed, so they can't be as much what we call as much serious or as much prepared as developed countries. A few countries are called to be developed countries they are. So all kinds of tension everywhere. And every day you see in the newspapers, you see on the television, suppose shows, activities, interviews, that things are not coming to right ways. And tension is increasing every day. Uh, Looking at these developments every day, you feel as if the world war cannot be avoided, because, of course, these political leaders, they are human beings. And as happened during the Second World War, that Hitler, he was bent on asserting himself. And the opposition, or the people opposed to him, were also bent on resisting him. And then Hitler could not be resisted. Hitler could not be prevented from getting into that kind of war. And although Hitler got defeated, he had to commit suicide, but then millions of people got killed. So this is the danger. This is the ill omen that sometimes you feel that if the world leaders, so-called leaders, they are not leaders in the true sense of the term. Had they been leaders, they would have worked together for the world. They would have, instead of manufacturing weapons and bombs and all that, they would have beautified the world with parks and gardens. We don't need hospitals. Why do you allow people to manufacture wine that is dangerous? Yes, if certain kind of wine is good for health, let the production of that kind of wine, you can say, go up, and people should consume that kind of wine for the promotion of their health. But if alcoholic drinks and wines are dangerous, their production should be regulated, or even suppose you can say done away with. You talk about cigarettes and smoking, and everywhere it is written that cigarette smoking is the major cause of lung cancer. Even then, you have billions of, you can say what you call advertisements, uh, means billions of dollars spent on advertisements of different kinds of cigarettes and all that. And you put these cigarettes in the hands of so-called successful models or filmmakers, directors, actors, rich people, and then they show in style how nice it is for them to smoke, and how stylishly they hold cigarettes between their fingers. And the common people, they get enamored. They also feel attracted. They also have the human desires that they should also live like those people. And many people start committing crimes to buy expensive cigarettes and to hold them the same way as they see in the advertisements. You see, the world is getting so artificial. You have advertisements of consumer items, expensive perfumes and all that, and the so-called models, beautiful they are physically, and that beauty they, you can say, misuse in order to make money, and they entice people, and then they show to the people that their life is like the life in the heaven, and they can do anything. They can dress anyway, semi-nude. They don't have any manners, but they flaunt their wealth. They invite guests, and then they welcome them, and they very satanically they speak about how nice they look, and how nice preparations have been done to welcome them, and they only speak what is not felt by them in the heart. They are artificial greetings, artificial choice of words, artificial accent, and everybody wants to have an upper hand, one upmanship, that who is going to be the smartest person in this party, who is going to be sought most for selfies and all that. And for all these things, you go artificial in your manners, in your supposed speeches, and you misuse money. There are people around the world, millions of people, they die in the absence of proper medicine because they don't have. And you have so much of money that you smoke tobacco rolled into $5,000 note or whatever they say like that. So these things are also extremely, you can say, important to be talked about, because if you show to the people how wealth is being abused and misused and misspent, then that also becomes indirectly the cause of the Third World War, because the haves and the have-nots, and the have-nots, they get into desperation. They join criminal gangs, they become smugglers, and smugglers and criminal gangs are never there to, you can say, work for the world peace, for the world to develop. They only side with the so-called rich, because the rich people, they direct them. They dole out some of their wealth to these people, hungry people, who want to imitate the lifestyles of the filthy rich people, and that is how the number of good people gets on gets on the lower side all the time. Means the number of good people is decreasing, and the number of bad people increasing. And that is a serious concern or serious cause to be for the breakout of the Third World War. So I want that all the good people, even if they are 10-15%, good people have power. What is their power? Their power is morality. Their power is assertion for goodness. They speak in favor of truth, on the side of truth. And that is why their speech, their words will have power. And even if there is no God, or this world is godless, even if there is no interference by the God, if he is ever there, there has to be some sort of defense of the moral power. So even if 10%, 15% good people of the world unite and they raise their voice and then they get united to fight until the last, the world can come back to senses. The bad people, they are like Satans. They gather together and they gather, you can say, at the shortest notice. Good people don't gather that way speedily. Their gathering is impossible. But wherever they are, they should raise their voice that has a moral strength, and that will do. And in politics also, in leadership also, international leadership, we have different organizations, UN organizations. So the heads of these UN organizations should not speak in favor of the powerful leaders or powerful countries. They should speak the truth. They should make the people aware of the realities, and they should make their influences, personality influences, personal influences of their positivity on the so-called leaders. That you may win a war, you may, you can say, downsize a country, you may do whatever you like, but the results won't be, you can say, good for a long time. You may be a winner for 5 years, 10 years, but the ill effects of your winning, because your winning over a country, or your winning over a territory, or your support, your rising people from other parts of the world because you have money and strength and power, that is no victory. The victory has to be moral. The victory has to be for peace. The victory has to be in terms of winning the hearts of the people, winning the confidence of the people. Let there be 5-6 leaders of important countries of the world who should be honest, and let them work honestly. And when the results of the work of their honesty, you can say, happen to percolate down to the people, and when I say people, not lazy people, means you may not work as much as others work, but you have to be sincere. You cannot only laze your time away and ask for the best things. It can't happen. It won't happen. So responsible people, good people, morally positive people, spiritually enriched people, or people who want to be enriched, such people have to be recognized. They have to be appreciated. They have to be given support. They have to be given backing, so that others who are bad, they also feel inspired. And others who are bad, if they are persuaded to be on the good side, they are persuaded, they are educated, they are instructed to be on the good side for their own selves, for their own families, for their own communities. But if they persist in the world of crime, if they go on committing crime, then they have to be dealt with very sternly. And they have to be brought to justice. Only these are the ways that you encourage the good, you promote the good, you help the students who want to study, you don't help those who don't want to study but they want to have degrees. What is the use of awarding them degrees when they don't have any knowledge? And knowledge only, not technical knowledge. Knowledge means that we have to live together. This is knowledge. This is not that live anyhow, pick other people's pocket or cheat others, deceive others, and live in style, live in physical suppose luxury. That is no knowledge. So a piece of good knowledge is that piece of knowledge which makes us feel that we have to live together, we have to work honestly, we have to work as much hard as we can. So the Third World War, as you see that you have passions, rage, as rages on the road, and you have killings. A motorcyclist and a car driver. they have a confrontation. Each blames the other. The motorcyclist blames the car for the accident, and the car driver blames the scooterist or motorcyclist. And then you have, suppose you can say, arguments getting heated up, and then murders committed or injuries inflicted upon each other. So countries also, uh, they can get into camps, and certain countries having more power, having more nuclear weapons. And you see, what is the use of nuclear weapons? Why not have libraries and sports stadia and gardens and ponds and what you call cleaning of the water bodies, cleaning of the Himalayas, cleaning of the mountain ranges, cleaning of the surfaces of the earth which have been dirtied by us, because we have become consumers and we have not become good consumers. We consume, but we should be good consumer. That we have not become, that we are not. So anywhere, uh, uh, this tendency has to be given impetus that good people, good workers, good farmers, those who don't produce a contaminated, suppose, food grain, such farmers, let them be praised, let them be encouraged, let them be helped in their times of crisis. And all these things have an impact on whether World War III will take place or not. If good forces come together, if justice is delivered, justice is seen to be delivered in all parts of the world, not only in one part or the other part, in all parts of the world, only then there will be a possibility of spreading peace in the world. And one can hope that, well, this world is going to continue exist for a long, long time. We get gone, we may get back, because some people believe in birth and rebirth. And definitely, people die and people get born. Humans die and humans get born. So new humans get born with new bodies, with new souls, or maybe the bodies die and the souls remain, and the souls enter uh, new bodies made by nature or made by the supreme power of this universe. So my this question: is it possible for us to avoid war for another 50 years? I think it is possible, not only for 50 years from now, but for 100 years at least from now, provided we come to the negotiating tables across the world. We, people of the world, we get united. And I don't say that bad people will ever be bad. Even bad people can realize that their badness, their continuity in badness can do no good to them. They themselves would perish. So why not have positive ideas spread around? Why not have positive cultivation of, you can say, brotherhood, positive cultivation of internationality, positive, you can say, condition to be percolating down that the earth is one, and all the inhabitants of the earth, the humans as well as non-humans, the animals, the flora and fauna, means nature has to be preserved. Ecology has to be preserved. If we go on ravaging our ecology, World War III will be inevitable. It's not only weapons that decide that which side has weapons and which side's leadership is arrogant, or you can say what you call unrestrained, or what you call impatient to go into the war. It's not only that. A number of things, unseen things. Many of us think that China and America having a tussle, having, you can say, a kind of rivalry of one-upmanship, and they are having lots of weapons and lots of money, and they can trigger. No. And that is a mistaken impression. The right impression, the right thinking is this, that the factors of poverty, the factors of injustice, the factors of what we call ill distribution of wealth, the factors of not punishing the guilty, the factors of not punishing the terrorists, allowing them. You make them terrorists. Osama bin Laden is supposed to have been created by America when America needed the help of people like Osama to thwart the, you can say, plans of the Russians. because the two superpowers. You see that in every country you just pamper the evil elements, the bad people, and you make them powerful to support you. But once they become powerful, they want to be more powerful than you. You have ruled them, and they want to rule over you. So World War III seems to be imminent if we see all these developments around the world. But only one hope is that all the good people of the world, and when I say good, good is not a one-time affair. It is not that once you are good, you are always to remain good. Good people may become bad, bad people may become good, but goodness has to be, you can say, increased. So, uh, justice, equality, freedom, dignity, all these things have to be established and have to be executed uh, in all parts of the world. And only these, you can say, changes in our attitude, in our executions, in our day-to-day activities can ensure that we can avoid World War III at least for 50 years or 100 years. Otherwise, if we remain passive and we think that, well, we don't have any say, we can't do anything, these are the leaders, politicians, the so-called, you can say, powerful people, it is up to them. They can decide the world war has to take place or not. That is a wrong notion. All of us have to come forward, and we have to extend our, you can say, support, moral, or you can say resource-wise or intellect-wise, spirituality-wise. All kinds of supports have to be pulled together to make this world realize as a whole that we must save ourselves, we must live on, and we must leave the possibility of our progenies to come and live on this earth and to feel how it is living life on this earth and how much challenging it is or how much enjoyable it is to make this world more and more beautiful. Thanks a lot. God bless us all. Bye bye.